Okay, so now we're going to talk about parallel parking for the road test using cones, a cone setup. So basically, you want to look at your layout of the cones, of how the cones look. And once you start to pull out, so right now I can see like there are three cones going, you could say perpendicular, right, to the car. So I'm actually facing straight, and I'm just behind the cones here. So I'm going to pull forward to start my parallel parking. But you want to look at the layout of the cones. So you have one, two, three cones going perpendicular. You have some cones going parallel, and then you have the other cones, one, two, or the further cones, three, going perpendicular. So I'm going to pull forward as I observe the parallel space. Okay. So now my first step for the parallel parking. So you observe the parallel parking space. The first step is, if your car has a back corner window right there, okay, then you're gonna pull forward to see this corner cone, the cone with the pine cone. You want to see that cone through your corner window, approximately the middle of it. So I'm going to pull forward and make sure your car's straight. That's a key thing. And then I'm going to pull forward until I see that corner cone in the corner window, and approximately in the middle. Okay, so that's the first step for the parallel parking. The second step is what we call 3 R's. So the first R, the 3 R's is an acronym. The first R is right signal. That's the first. The second R is a full, complete right turn. So right turn the wheel, right steer the wheel to the right. So full, complete right turn. All right, so I can't turn it anymore. It's fully to the right. Okay, the third R is reverse. So I'm going to shift the gear to reverse. Okay, so the 3 R's. So the first step was see the cone in the corner window in the middle, approximately the middle. Then 3 R's is the next step. The next step is to look at my left side view mirror. As I reverse, I'm going to count 3 cones. So I'm going to start reversing. I'm going to push the accelerator, push the gas, and then I'm going to start seeing 1. I see there's 1 cone right there. 2, okay? And as soon as I see that third one, I'm going to stop. So this is good. This one's an approximation, but generally as soon as you see that third cone come into the left side view mirror, you brake, you stop, or pause rather. Okay, so now the next step is to straighten the wheels. So I'm gonna, or steer straight. So I'm gonna go 1, 2. Okay, so some people look at that different. Some people say it's a 1.5 rotation. You can think of it however you want. But if I'm all the way turned to one direction, I just go 1 and center. So 1 rotation and center. So however you want to think of it, 2, or if you want to say 1.5, whatever. But so I'll go do that one more time. So if I'm turned all the way to the right, I'm gonna go 1, 2. All right, or just 1/2 rotation. All right, so now I'm centered. So my wheels are straight, right? So, and I have that third cone in my corner window. I'm sorry, on my left side view mirror. And I'm gonna back up straight in reverse. I'm still in reverse. Now that I'm straight, I'm gonna reverse to line up the right mirror to that cone we were looking at in the corner window. So the cone with the pine cone. So that's that corner window of the, that's the corner cone of the parallel space. So I'm gonna back up straight, reverse straight, and then line up the right side view mirror to the cone with the pine cone. So that same cone we looked at in the beginning through our corner window. That's the corner cone of the parallel space. So now I'm going to rotate. So that's lined up. So now I'm going to rotate the wheel all the way to the left. So if you even want to look at the rear view here, we're at an angle in the in the parallel cone space, but we're not fully in yet. So now I'm going to turn all the way to the left, and then I'm just going to reverse all the way in. And in the road test, typically they allow you to use your camera. I'll suggest you can look at it, but still look around. Don't just use your camera. But you can, if you want to view, I'm backing into the space. I'm backing in. And I'll stop. So right now I'm in the parallel space between the cones. So I'm going to rotate. So once I'm in the space, well, two things here. When I'm in the space, you have to factor in that how is your angle? Am I at an angle or am I straight facing the opposing cones, the perpendicular cones? If I'm straight, all I have to do is straighten the wheel. Right now, I'm pretty straight. I don't know if you can see that from the camera, but I'm in the space and I'm fairly straight or even in the space. If I was at an angle, I would turn the wheel all the way to the right, complete right, and then pull forward. But since I'm straight, I'm just going to move a little bit forward. I'm just going to straighten the wheel and then move a little bit forward. So I'm going to shift my gear to drive. Okay. And then I'm going to pull forward just a little bit, a couple inches, and stop. So now I'm centered in the space. And then I'm going to put it in park. So now I'm centered in the space. So that's how you would get into the parallel parking, again, using cones, typically for a road test. In the next video, I can explain how to do it with cars, how to do parallel parking with real cars. But for a road test, these are the typical steps that you would use. Now, keep in mind, if you have a different size car, so if you have SUV, pickup truck, minivan, Jeep, those steps, you would have to calibrate those steps a little bit. So just keep that in mind. So typically the steps work for about 80 to 90% of all cars, but you do have to calibrate a bit for a couple things, actually. One is that if you do have a bigger car, and let's say you're going to the DDS for the road test, then let's say you're using an SUV, you might not have a corner window. For one, that corner window back there, you might not even have one where you can see the cone. You might not be able to even see the cone at all if you're in a lifted vehicle. So those are factors you got to look at. You'll have to calibrate your distance. When we started, I pulled up straight. Now, how far was I from the cones? I would say an approximate 3 feet. So maybe about let's say half a car distance from the cone. So and I'm talking about when we just start out.